Howdy YouTube, Ezarcher Xfce here with a little video for you. Recently, this morning, that's recent, I decided to switch my daily driver computer from Debian, which it had been on for over a year and a half, to Arch. Now I did this via my own Ezarcher spin. I already have the machine behind me running Arch full-time anyway. So I'm really not distro hopping, as it were, but I figured let's give Arch another try again. I like Arch. It's fun. I just got sick and tired about a year and a half ago of the constant updates. We'll see how long I last this time. It's never really a problem. It's just updating all the time. So I figured we'd do a little video. I'd do a little video showing you what I did when I installed Arch on hardware. We're going to do this in QEMU KVM via virt-manager, and we'll go over, I think, all the steps we did. I did. I keep saying we. I mean I. I'm not a collective. So what we'll do is we'll full screen the KVM here when we get into it, which will be right now. I have the Ezarcher Xfce spin on the host on the hardware, and we're doing the same spin on the virtual machine here. So let's go ahead and full screen it. So you should be able to see better this way and not be distracted by double desktops. Okay, the installer lives in the system menu under install system, and the password is the user password live, and we're going to do a custom partitioning here because that is the way I did it on hardware. So Phoenix, correct keyboard layout, manual partitioning. Now on hardware, I have the system in BIOS mode, not EFI. So we're going to do the same thing here. Master boot record. Let's create. What I first do is create a swap partition. So 8192 is fine. Actually, for the purposes of the VM, we don't have to go that high. Let's do 2048. Linux swap. Let's call it swap. And I guess we can do that too. Let's create a root partition. We have close to 60 gigs left. Let's do a 30 gig ext4 root partition. Let's call it root and click that. And finally, we'll leave the rest of the space ext4 for home, and we'll call it home. Very good. Did we make this bootable? Let's see. We do want to make that bootable. That would help. Okay. Next. And let's pick our username. And password. Install. Very good. This being obs-studio, I don't know of a way to pause the video while we're recording and pick up where we left off and it all be the same video file. That's one reason why I usually like Simple Screen Recorder, but I didn't install that quite yet. I'm debating. So we have our file unpacking here, our squash.fs being unpacked. My Ezarcher Xfce edition comes with a bunch of software. We'll go through this while we're waiting here. The GNOME disk utility, firmware installer, just going over the things that aren't in a typical Xfce desktop. Calculator for a calculator, KeePass XC for a password manager, GNOME network tools, sometimes handy. Let's see, anything else that's not, Xarchiver for archiving files and such. Development, we have CMake, sorry, Geany as a lightweight IDE text editor, and Meld for comparing files. Games, I'll Riot Solitaire. Graphics, very simple document scanner, Rossetto image viewer. Internet, Avahi server browser stuff, FileZilla for FTPing, Firefox web browser, OpenSnitch application level firewall, and transmission for BitTorrent. Under multimedia, Asunder for CD ripping, Audacious for music playing. GNOME CD Master comes with CD RAO nowadays, so you just get that without asking for it. GUVC View for webcam. MPV Media Player is the backend to SM Player. Parole Media Player. Pulse Audio Volume. The QT-V4L2 utilities. SM Player for a very nice video player. And XFburn for burning disks. Office, I don't give you a whole lot. Dictionary and PDF viewer. Settings, all your typical settings. Firewall is here because I include Firewall D. And everything else is typical for Xfce. System, my ezmaint tool, and we'll get to that when we have the system installed. Firewall D again. Gparted for managing partitions. grsync for graphical rsync utility. htop, Calamares system installer, obviously. OpenSnitch for application firewalling. Packages is the package kit packages. And that's it. Everything else typical. And I managed to be able to talk most of my way through the installation. Hopefully we'll be done any second now, and we can resize, reboot, and come back to this as soon as we are installed. Bootloader takes a second or two longer than every other step. Yep, we're almost done. I don't know, I thought of doing this video because I haven't done a video in a few days and wanted to change over to Arch for at least a little while. So let's unmaximize that and shut down completely. And it rebooted. Okay, that works. We're coming up in the installed system here. There we go. So let's readjust our monitor display settings here. We got a 1440 by 9. And let's full screen it. Yeah, there we go. Now, before we do our first update, which you should do when you install an Arch-based system, especially one that's not a live installer, but a installer from offline installer. That's what I meant to say. Before we do that, we're going to do a few things that suggestions I provide in my documentation. We're going to set up a grub update hook, an auto cache cleaning hook, and a reflector hook. Now these are Pacman hooks that will run when certain conditions are triggering in Pacman. So let's set up the grub update hook. Let's open that up. We can switch this to line wrapping, give ourselves a little more room, and we are going to create a hook file. So let's copy that line, open a terminal, and paste that line. That's interesting. Let's try it again. There we go. Okay, so here is the content of the hook. And paste. Control O to write the file out. Control X. We're done with this. Let's explain what this does. So this Pacman hook, upon upgrading the grub package, will run a script located in USR local bin called grubinstall.sh. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a new tab. Go to USR local bin, and there is a grub install sh script. So let's open that up. We can go through this. First thing the script does is set a variable, tpdev, the output of find mount for the source of the root file system. So it's on this computer, on this virtual machine, it would be /dev/vda. Next, it takes that output, that variable, and tests whether the letters NVMe are in that variable. If it finds NVMe, it sets another variable to the first 12 characters of this output and assigns it LRDF. Useful a little later. If NVMe does not appear, it sets the output of find mount's first 8 characters to LRDEV. Now, it then tests whether the system is installed on an EFI system. If it is, it runs that set of grub install and grub make config commands. If it's not on an EFI system, it runs this set of grub install and grub make config commands. And the location of the grub install is the output stored in LRDF. So in this script, we're testing for NVMe versus non-NVMe, EFI versus non-EFI. And then depending on the outcomes of those tests, it should do the right thing. Okay, we're done with that. We're done with that. Let's set up the auto cache cleaning hook. I'm going to create another hook file. We are going to add this set of instructions. What this does is upon any upgrade, install, or remove of any package, it will run pack cache and clean the package cache to 1 level of history. Control O, Control X. The last hook we're going to create is a reflector hook. Now this will run reflector whenever the pacman mirror list file is updated. So all these little maintenance tips will be accomplished automatically. Control O, Control X. And we are done setting up our pacman hooks. So now we are prepared to run an update. So sudo pacman syu. And we have quite a bit to get, so let's get to it. Hopefully our mirrors are all up to date. I didn't run a reflector to update the mirrors first. Good, we got everything first time. Cool. Now I did notice a systemd update in here, so we are going to reboot after this. I didn't see any kernels coming in. Certainly didn't see grub coming in, but systemd is enough to warrant a reboot, I think. Plus, I think the systemd update will trigger a mk init cpio run as well. Yes, so the init ram fs's are getting rebuilt here. One thing I enjoy running Arch, it's just a lot of fun usually. Some people complain, grub is finicky or messes up. It's not grub that messes up, it's usually the user that messes up, not reading the output of what to do. Now, my little hooks and script for grub should prevent any laziness on my part. Okay, so let's exit. Let's drop back down to that mode and let's shut her down. Now, while it's shut down, I'm glad it shut down completely this time. Let's go ahead and, oh, we're already here. Oh, no media, perfect. Okay. Boot options, oh, perfect. Okay, I didn't have to change anything. Let's boot her right up. Now we should be totally up to date and ready to rock and roll now. As soon as we're back completely, we'll full screen it again. Because I am curious, this did happen on hardware. I want to see if it happened here in virtual land as well. What am I looking for? That's what I was looking for. Let's open a terminal here. Let's do a quick ls-blk. Okay, perfect. So we have swap, home, and root. Very good. So what happened on hardware, and I'm not sure why it didn't happen here, is the swap partition didn't get mounted correctly. Now the one difference was I used gparted to create the partitions and then modified them during Calamares installation. Here I used Calamares to actually create the partitions and the partition table even. That might have been the reason why this worked perfectly. Okay, sorry, talking to myself there. What else do I want to do? I want to install some more software. That's one thing I want to do. I also want to install virt-manager. And I provide a text file that walks you through exactly how to do it under Arch. Now, this text file, let's open it up, because I didn't write it all. I adapted it from a post on the Endeavor OS forums from Sandman. So thank you, Sandman. I did, however, clean it up for my uses, and I think I made it more readable and really just copy and paste ready. So we're going to install all the components of virt-manager. So let's get to our terminal. Let's make it a little longer. And we have a lot of files, but not a whole lot of space, not a whole lot of megabytes to download. Very good. We will clear this screen here because we have more to do. Okay, more steps to do. After installation, we need to enable the libvirt service. So right here is our command. Right there is our terminal. Now, to use virt-manager as a normal user, we do have to edit the libvirt.conf file. So let's do that. And we are looking for Unix sock group and Unix sock RW perms. Okay. So Unix sock group. There we go. Uncomment that. Unix sock RW perms. There it is. Okay. Good. Control O, Control X. Let's clear that just again, make it nice and tidy. Okay, now we're going to add ourselves to the libvirt group. So let's copy this bit here and put it in the terminal. Whoa, you know what? I forgot to do something. I forgot to give it our username. There we go. Okay, now we're going to edit the qem.conf file and insert our username and our group name. So let's clear the screen again. Okay, why'd that? Oh, it's holding on to that command. Did I not copy and paste? Let's try this again. Copy. Let's do it this way. Paste. There we go. Now we're going to look for a section here of some examples of values. I keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There we go. We have found it. And let's change the user to our user. Oh, and right there, there's a group. Let's change the group to our group name. and uncomment. Control O, Control X. Clear that screen again. I think we are done. Yes, we should reboot. So let's do that. And that was the install libvirt steps. So let's drop back down to that mode and restart. Perfect. And let's go back into full screen mode. Let's go grab a few things that I know I'm going to want to use. So sudo pacman. We're going to want Chromium browser, obs-studio, and LibreOffice Fresh. Few more megabytes to download. Hopefully this will go by smoothly. Just waiting on LibreOffice and Chromium, the two big packages. I think after this is done, maybe we'll put the LTS kernel in. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so let's clear the screen. Let's do a pacman, sudo Linux LTS and Linux LTS headers. I usually get that mixed up, whether it's Linux headers LTS or Linux LTS headers. And what we're going to need to do after that, let's go back to our docs here and go to this. No, not the hook. The hook won't have it. The script will have it. Let's go to script. So I don't want to get the command wrong. We're going to need that grub make config command here. So let's just copy that. And let's go ahead and paste that. Sudo. There we go. Perfect. We can go ahead and close Genie out there, or Genie. Let's go ahead and reboot yet again. Oh wait, just in case there are some artifacts or weirdness, let's reboot from here. And before we reboot, let's go into advanced options, and you can see the LTS kernel is now the default option. That's fine by me. That's the way I usually like to live. My hardware certainly doesn't require the newest kernel. Nothing I do requires the newest of anything, but sometimes it's just fun to run Arch. Okay, there is our system installed, configured, ready to go. The last thing I usually do, let's do this, sudo pacman scc will completely clean the package cache out. Don't need anything from this point. Now in the future, I could let it go, rely on the auto clean hook that we set up to keep it to one level of history. I've almost never needed that. And that is it, folks. We have, for me, my usable, fully set up, fully updated Arch installation. Since I created the Ezarcher ISOs, this is an Arch install. If you use the Ezarcher ISOs, you've created or you've installed an Arch-based system. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it wasn't too long-winded or boring. And take care, stay safe, have fun. You'll see me in another video, folks. Bye-bye. I forgot I have to do one more thing to access the video control. Bye-bye again.